Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the first annual Kevin Gore Border Clash. This event is a little bit different than most of our events. Obviously, it's in honor of my dear friend, but that's kind of selfish. It's our dear friend, Kevin Gore, who passed suddenly last year, and we felt the necessity to do something in his honor. I'm not real sure what the odds are before I start crying here. So I met Kevin for the first time at the Palmetto Cup many years back. He was in line to check in, and I was at the table. And as check-ins get sort of hectic and rolling through, we just kind of try to get people in, and we try to guess what division they were in. He was wearing clothes, and I looked at him and I said, "Men's physique?" And he looked at me and he was like, "No." And some people to say men's physique to a bodybuilder is kind of insulting, but Kevin just sort of smiled and said no. And I kind of looked at this guy, and I'm like, this old guy with, he's got to be doing physique. And then when he took his clothes off to weigh in, I was like, wow, very impressive. Great legs, great body, definitely deserving of being a bodybuilder. And from then on, me and him hit it off really well. I was appreciative of the fact that he didn't get angry that I said, the wrong category. Rather, he just laughed it off and was very sort of open and fun right from the beginning, like he was his whole life with all of us. And that's the Kevin that we came to appreciate and love. For those of you who don't know the background of Kevin, and I certainly didn't know him for as much as or as long as I would love to have known him. He was a little bit overweight. He won a bodybuilding.com transformation contest that sort of propelled him into the world of fitness and competing. So his story is sort of unique. My wife Shannon, who was an IFBB pro, can remember being at booths working shows, and Kevin was the guy on the other side of the booth coming to talk to her or get an autograph or take a picture, and was just very appreciative of the pros and in awe of what they did. And then fast forward years ahead, here's this guy who makes the transformation, and now he gets hired by a company, and he's the guy on the other side of the booth that people are coming to talk to. So his love for the sport was amazing. I mean, he went from one side of the table to the other. I don't know if you really understand what that means. That's huge to somebody that just basically set their mind to do something. I think the beauty of it all is that you can see in the pictures we have here, his wife, Cindy, who's here tonight, she loved him before all that happened. So the love was there. And I think no matter how much or how good he looked, if he was heavy or not, then it didn't really make a difference to Cindy. I'm sure she appreciated him, but she loved the person. I have to stay lean because my wife doesn't like me so much. But it's one of those things, I think, that it's a beautiful story to watch Kevin interact with his kids and his wife and his family. And then in the bodybuilding world, he was beloved by all. He was the one guy behind the stage or behind the scenes that while he was preparing for a contest or preparing for a show, was worried about helping everybody else, get everybody else ready. We can't appreciate enough what he did for our South Carolina NBC family. He did so much for me, anything I ever asked him to. I quickly learned, as I was telling Cindy earlier, Kevin was one of those guys that you could just set in motion and know that whatever job you gave him, he was going to do it, and whatever people he came in interaction with, they were going to love him. My Junior USA that I promote, I'm running around. I have VIP people fly in that are presidents and vice presidents of the organization. They have to be picked up from the airport. I had no problem sending Kevin. I'm thinking I'm going to send Kevin because it's going to be a great representation of myself in bodybuilding, because Kevin was the guy that everybody loved. We all got that friend that doesn't get along with people that you got to keep at bay, but they're a good person, but their attitude is awful. Kevin wasn't that guy. Kevin was the guy that everybody wanted to call friend, and everybody wanted to introduce each other to as friends. I said a few words at Kevin's funeral, and I'll kind of pass them along to a lot of you who weren't there. Kevin used to always tell me, Trey, when you get up at these bodybuilding shows and you speak to the athletes, you seem comfortable in speaking. And I just think that would be hard speaking to people. And I said, well, Kevin, you know, when you speak to people about something that you love, it's pretty easy. I mean, I'm speaking about bodybuilding and fitness. I kind of know the subject, so I'm not scared, I'm not worried. It's something that I really appreciate. So when I was sitting down and preparing to say something for Kevin, or on behalf of Kevin at his funeral, you know, I sat there and I said, okay, this should be easy, because like bodybuilding, I love Kevin. So what we did is, I sat down for a little while and I'm trying to come up with words in my head that would describe Kevin or give him some sort of justice. And you know, you talked, he was a great guy, he was friendly, he was amazing. And it's almost like for once in my life, as much as I love to talk and as much as I'm comfortable in talking, I didn't have a word. I'm like, I don't know how to describe Kevin. And then I said to myself, like I said at his funeral, you don't have to. Once you say Kevin Gore, everybody just kind of got it. There was no words you needed to say or no adjectives that you needed to come up with. All you had to do was say the name. And he used to always refer to me as his mentor in this sport. And I'm looking at this guy who I'm supposed to be his mentor. And I told his wife Cindy, for a mentor, it's amazing what I learned from him. He actually taught me a lot. He taught me, you know, a lot of things that I want to be. He taught me, you know, that person that you saw in front of everybody and everybody loved and was so friendly. He made you want to be that person. He'd come to work for me at Junior USA in Charleston, South Carolina, and offer him a room. He'd said, no, I'm going to go back every night because I want to be with my family. So here's a guy who drives 2 hours. He gets there at 5 o'clock in the morning. He stays there at 8 o'clock at night, drives 2 hours back, does the same thing 3 days in a row. Also, he can be with his wife and kids. So for me, Kevin was the ultimate bodybuilder, the ultimate family man, the ultimate person. So I want you guys to realize, you know, every year we're going to do this show, and I would appreciate if we never lose sight of why we do this show. His family is here tonight. I thank them for letting us have this venue to honor Kevin. Cindy, you guys, thank you so much. Again, thank you so much for coming in honor of Kevin. We're going to let some athletes say a few words, and then we're going to introduce the athletes, and they're going to come out. Kevin was sponsored by a company called Dymatize, who he just lived and breathed their company. They loved him, he loved them. He constantly pushed their products. He believed in them. He got to work Olympia booths and Arnold booths and all those things that he, you know, dreamed of doing, and Dymatize gave him that opportunity. Dymatize stepped up tremendously at this show with sponsorship for our show so that we could put this on. So I want to thank Dymatize. You guys visited Dymatize booth. And at this time, I'm going to ask a few Dymatize athletes to come on out and say a few words on Kevin's behalf. Anybody else that would like to speak is more than welcome to come up. After that, we're going to start the show, and we're going to have a good time. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you coming.
So first of all, I want to say thank you all for coming out here and supporting Kevin Gore. And just want to send my regrets and my condolences to you, Cindy, and the rest of the family. I got to know Kevin for about 2.5 years. I met him before he was actually a Team Dymatize athlete. He came to Olympia. He was so excited. He just placed in the Bodybuilding.com spokesmodel or Bodybuilding.com Transformation Challenge. And I'm part of our Bodybuilding.com team. And we got to actually watch the transformation because I work for Dymatize as well. So we got to see him get third place. He came out to Olympia, hung out with us. He's so passionate about everything that he does. He's so open and giving and friendly that I haven't met one person that hasn't loved Kevin. Everybody loves Kevin. He's always brought the best out of me and the rest of the team. Even like when the team's kind of divided, you're kind of upset, they had long days, Kevin always brought the best out of everybody, kind of makes you stay energized, have fun, and remember this is a great opportunity. Seeing Kevin's transformation from going from somebody that wasn't as healthy as he should be to backstage and actually being one of the most shredded guys I've ever seen in my life, staying like that. I don't know how you dealt with that all year, Cindy, but he was all, don't know how they afford it, but anyway, he always stays super shredded, super nice, super pleasant. He always was that person that you wanted to meet, and he always made sure that you always stayed that person that you wanted to meet as well, and inspire you to just become just a better person. And we always worked out together whenever we went to expos, and I just have so many good memories and so many good stories of just hanging out with Kevin. He loved his wife tremendously, and he always shows you that no matter how old you are, no matter what happens in your life, you'll always come back from it, and there's always a better day. Just wait till tomorrow and try your hardest. I don't really want to take up your time. I'm already getting kind of choked up. Get off to Lexi.
Yeah, I'm already choked up, so deal with it. Kevin was a really good friend of mine. I found him by Instagram, actually, because I was hashtag searching Dymatize, and I found out when he won the transformation challenge, and I was like, welcome to Team Dymatize. And from then on, him and I just became really good friends because I compete at Trey's show at Junior USA's, and he made such good friends with me. He gave me his phone number. I knew about the wife and kids. We would just all stay super close. He invited me to Trey's gym to work out. He just, no matter what time of day or anything, he would just be such a good friend. And after we met in California when he came out for one of the shows, we all went and ate together, and we just had fun. He just has such light about him, and it really makes you think, and all the competitors should be like that too. You don't just compete just to win a trophy. You need to have a good attitude because there's people watching you, and there's people that are going to remember you either for good or for bad. And anyone that wants to be remembered should be remembered like Kevin, because you couldn't say a bad thing about him if you tried. He just loved his wife and his family so much. He was a relationship coach too. I just would tell him, I'm like, I want a relationship like you, you know? A way of thinking like you. He's just always happy. He just loved life, and that's how it should be. So it was an honor to have him as such a friend, and Cindy too, meeting you at the Olympia and everything. Couldn't have been more of a blessing to hang out with you guys. I love you guys. But that's it. Let's give Kevin a hand.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Kevin Gore Border Clash. Let's hear it for all the athletes standing by backstage.